4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Know your enemy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Know Your Enemies podcast, episode 56. I'm James Justice. We got Stephen Ruth over here. What are we doing, Steve? Fighting! Yeah, all day, every day. Hope everybody's having a good beginning of the week. So we have a crazy news cycle this week, man. It's I don't even know what to make of it, you know?
I know.
You see what's going on with
I see it.
with the frontline supporters and we got who's in the hot seat right now? We got Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens,
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Tucker.
Yeah, I don't understand why our president acts like such a baby. Instead of calling people traitors, actually debate them on what they're talking about, because we all see what she's talking about, and it looks like she's right.
Yeah.
So lashing out and calling her a traitor really looks retarded.
Yeah, MTG took a beating by Trump. You know, I don't think it was really justified. Maybe there's some underlying things that we might not know about. You know, but you know,
She's the real boss.
yeah, she's been on the front lines for a long time. We love her over here at
She
the warehouse.
tells everybody, "Get out of my office. I don't want your money."
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the bottom line. She does that. She's one of them.
Yeah.
So
I got a picture. Well, let's pull this up real quick. Let's show the people. So Trump is giving a hand to, Elon Musk. You got Tucker over there. You got a couple other people. And then I'll put that back up. He took it down too quick. Who else we got on there? All right. And so the bad guys that are getting the cold shoulder, are the MAGA
they vote
supporters.
the most conservative, and they basically have the best voter track records.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Something's going on. Something's stirring the pot. It's a little weird. But what are you going to do? So this was a tweet that Trump put out. Let's pull this up. This was to MTG. And basically saying, like, hey, I don't need you anymore. You're a traitor. I got no faith in you, and I'm pulling my complete endorsement from you, and I hope you don't get elected, basically, he was saying in the letter, which is kind of crazy, man, because she's been on the front lines this whole entire time for him. She's been a diehard MAGA. She was the 10% of Republicans that were actually MAGA, and she was like the spearhead of that 10%. And now all of a sudden it's like, throw in the trash.
No, I don't understand it either. And I think most of the country doesn't understand it. They all think it's very suspicious.
Well,
and it doesn't look very professional at all.
No, and she was the biggest thing that she goes against, and we have an image we could throw up real quick. And the biggest thing she was going against was the whole war with Israel and the funding and AIPAC and all this stuff. And I don't think Trump liked that too much. I don't know why. So, we have this.
It looks like she's basically standing up for 99% of what we all feel and think, and that other countries are having way too much, specifically Israel, just way too much influence on our government.
Yeah, that's true. I have another tweet over here by Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was saying, I love Trump, MTG, Massey, Tucker, and even those I feel are too accommodating to the worst decisions made by Israel's government. I won't be baited into attacking friends and leaders in our movement because some people disagree on some things. And I agree with that. You can't just go out and attack people just because they start questioning things that you might not be, have the know-all to yet,
Well, I think Charlie Kirk woke us up to a lot.
Yeah.
And even people like you and I that thought we were awake were not.
No, there was still a lot of things that we, the average, frontline patriot didn't know.
Yeah.
And we're down the rabbit hole, miles down the
We're
rabbit
down
hole.
the rabbit hole already, and we had no idea what we learned after Charlie Kirk assassination. And we thank Charlie for that. And that's why I said in that post, I said, thank you, Charlie, because everything's changed. And what I meant was that everything changed as far as the information.
Yeah.
Nothing really changed as far as the tyrannical government that we're dealing with here, because clearly they're tyrannical, and I think Charlie knew that as well. But nothing changed as far as that. Just the awareness changed about the monetary influence on our government.
And there was a shockwave of Christ consciousness that rippled through the entire planet when that man died,
right.
you know, and that's what it was all about. You know, this was a great awakening to the masses that might not have been awake to like conspiracy theories and all those type of things, like, you know, in the past. But now all of a sudden they see an innocent man with his life taken just off of the opinions that he expressed, and he wasn't violent, he was peaceful, and you know that was a ripple that went through the world that woke a lot of people up. And now they might just start becoming the conspiracy theorists that, you know, all of us were when we told you not to get the hokey pokey and, you know, from the virus that didn't originate from bats in a lab.
Right. We know that it didn't originate from bats in a lab.
In a market, excuse me, not a lab, but yeah.
Bats in a market, the Wuhan market.
Yeah. So
came from the Wuhan laboratory, but it was really with our money, funded by our money.
Exactly.
So they all want to blame China. Let's call it what it is. It's not China. They're just the landlord.
Yeah.
You know, when I have a bad tenant, I don't want to take blame for whatever they may cooking meth in the apartment.
Yeah.
I'm not guilty.
Yeah, the Wuhan lab money came from us.
Yeah.
We paid for that. We paid for our own
So
demise.
we think it's funny when Trump
Enough.
says the China virus, but really it's the America virus.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
We funded the NIH. We funded Eco Health Alliance. They transferred all the gain-of-function research in 2015 out to the Wuhan virology lab, and they cooked up the virus. But thank God it flopped, and we covered that a couple episodes back. But we got some updates from General Flynn coming in, and this guy, when he speaks, it's always a good thing to listen. So share this out. Let's check out this video.
This is bigger than Donald Trump. This is bigger than where we are right now. This is about the future of the United States of America and whether or not we are going to have a legitimate constitutional republic in the years ahead. Well past Donald Trump, right? I mean, whoever ends up being in 2028 or 2032 or beyond, whether or not we get another 50 years out of our republic, never mind another 250 years. So this is bigger, and the United States of America and the people in our country, particularly those duly elected leaders. I mean, I just had two more people get a hold of me today that are running against these rhino establishment people in different states, you know, one for Congress, one for Senate, and they're in both cases they're veterans, which I love the fact that we have veterans starting to stand up to get back involved in service to the country in a political way.
Exactly, and that's what we need, man. We need the citizens. So it's one thing to have Trump as the president, and he can install his people in the federal government. But if we're really going to save this republic, we have to get our people in the local governments, and that's nationwide. So, you know, General Flynn's got a good point where, you know, if you're a veteran and you hold a serious, you know, oath to this Constitution in the United States, get involved, get in there, take out the school board, replace them with parents that actually care, that actually are going to question the science with the vaccination schedule and everything like that, and actually stand up for the kids, you know. And that should be nationwide, because that's what we need. We need a bunch of leaders right now to take control of everything that they let slip between their fingers.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Even in a lot of Republican conservative districts, the Democrats took the school board.
Yeah, no, they did. They did. It's majority of the school boards are 100% liberal, and they're ushering in all these, you know, inappropriate books and all this curriculum and gender confusion and all this stuff, because now they're protected under Proposition 1 under the New York State Constitution, and now it's like, oh yeah, well, we have a legal framework to push this stuff because you can't discriminate on us, and you know, it's starting a can of worms in all these other districts that actually want to protect the females and prevent the boys from going into the locker rooms and participating in the sports, because, you know, like, that's crazy. It's crazy. And
no, I understand. I'm just saying that most of the school boards have been infiltrated.
Yeah, 100%. And we just found out that there's a bunch of people on Long Island. I'm talking about like principals and educators in Long Island getting paid over $300,000 a year.
Oh, yeah.
How is that possible? What the hell are these principals doing that's worth $300,000 a year? There is nothing that's worth $300,000 a year. All right? Even our kids' education, right?
Nobody
we're paying
fights
for the school. We're
Nobody
paying for the
fights it.
maintenance. We're paying for the taxes. We're paying for the books, the curriculum. We're getting the school supplies. So where the hell is this money going, and why should a superintendent get paid that much money to do what? And what are they, a banker? And they're ripping off the parents of the districts, and they're pocketing all this money and spreading it around with the school board members, and that's why they take liberal positions? I don't know. I'm just saying.
They infiltrate the districts, they take over all those positions, and the money stays within their little clique.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Absolutely nuts. And I've had enough of it. I've had enough of the indoctrination and the useless education. I mean, useless education. Like the stuff, my daughter is 9 years old, and the things that she's learning in school, what the hell does it have to do with real life?
Nothing.
What does it have to do with real life? Yo, majority of the education in the school system has nothing to do with real life. It's teaching them to be obedient workers.
The social interaction is what she's getting, and also physical education.
Yeah, but if you look at the school system, they're designed exactly the same way as the prisons. The cafeterias are the same as the prisons. The trays are the same as the prisons. The way they got to walk down the hallway and single file and stay to the right side and don't go out of line is the same as the prisons.
Well, it's preparing your kid if they're a criminal.
I think it's preparing them for not to obey authority and to sit there and be a cuck to anybody in a lab coat and has a shiny tin badge on their chest.
Look, I'm not completely in favor of the way our education system works either, but you have to kind of work with the system to get your kid through it, and then hopefully beyond that into their next phase of life.
I say if you have the opportunity to homeschool, do it. Because if
you can, yeah, absolutely. If you can homeschool, do it.
I mean, you have your private schools and you have your public schools, but 90% of the time, you're taking a roll of the dice with your kid and their personality and their upbringing and everything, because you don't know the personalities. Yeah, you don't know the personalities of the parents of these other children that are in the school, what kind of belief system they have. So you're better off in a private school where it's like Catholic or you have some type of faith-based education.
Yeah, but not many American families are going to be able to afford that nowadays.
Well,
with the property taxes over $1,000 a month and tuition over $1,000 a month.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to come back on the other side. We'll see you in a minute.
Stay tuned.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just two entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW, making travel great again.
Hey, fellow patriots, it's Cindy Gross here, host of Right for America, from your favorite place, the America First Warehouse. You've seen me show on my show so many products from this country's #1 most patriotic manufacturer with close to 400 products. You need to exchange the products you use in your house to this company and make your dollars count in our country.
All right, live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue and all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
We are back. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Make sure you share this podcast out. We are heavily censored, so we got to beat these algorithms. So hit that share, hit that share, hit the share. Welcome to the Justice family. Welcome to the America First Warehouse family and the Know Your Enemies family, because we are holding a fire to the New World Order, and we're taking a sledgehammer. We're going to break their plans to pieces. So
Elon Musk wants to replace us with robots. He says that the robots are going to make us obsolete. What do you think?
Really? We got a picture of these robots? Let me see one of these robots. What kind of robots are we talking about? They better be hot.
Yeah. I think they're going to replace us.
Oh, look at that guy. He kind of looks like...
My girlfriend smokes her.
He kind of looks like one of those Tesla trucks. I don't know. I think it sucks.
They better if he wants them to be successful.
Oh, my God. Absolutely. Yeah, so I think we have a video of Elon Musk talking about once these robots replace us, we're going to have
this is
nothing
going to be like
do.
Cyberdyne Systems and Skynet, and just like the Terminator. I suggest everybody go back and watch the Terminator.
Yeah.
I'm, what was his name? Reese, and my son is John Connor. John Connor.
Let's roll this clip. Let's hear what he's talking about, universal basic
What
income.
to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. Now, the output of goods and services will be extremely high. So with automation, almost everything will get very cheap. The harder challenge is how do people then have meaning? Like a lot of people, they derive their meaning from their employment. If you're not needed, if there's not...
Yeah, if you're not needed anymore because the robots replace you, what purpose do you serve in life?
Reproduce.
Yeah, I mean, there is a big purpose to serve in life. It's not that grim as he makes it sound.
Right.
But, yeah, it's reproduction. And, you know.
Not just that. I mean, we have to, who's going to charge the robots? He acts like they just don't need a charge.
Well, I think they're going to be charging themselves. But I have some of what Skynet actually looks like in China. Let's roll this clip and see what our future holds.
Government can collect about its 1.4 billion citizens. Everyone over the age of 16 is required to have an official state-issued ID card that the government now wants to use to centralize all that information. And China is investing heavily in tech companies to help transform that government data into a virtually omniscient surveillance network. One of those companies is Megvii. It recently received a capital investment of nearly $500 million, part of which is from a state-run VC fund. But the name chosen for its premier piece of technology is a bit of a tell. Skynet, what is that?
The Terminator is the favorite film of our founder. So they use the same name, but they want to put something good into the system.
So, okay, in the Terminator, Skynet is evil, rains down death from the sky. But in China, Skynet is good.
Yeah, that's the difference.
So how do you think your facial recognition technology will change China?
Everything happen in the public can be record. We can know exactly what happened in every second, in every corner of the city. That is a video stream in a subway station by our smart camera, so we can capture every face in real time. Still like some criminal person is out there. There is the red box, so there is a warning to the police station that there is a criminal person, so I need to locate them.
So when it looks out onto a crowd, it's tracking all these faces and it's cross-checking those faces against what?
Criminal database.
And how many fugitives have been apprehended through this system?
Over 3,000 cases in nationwide. Yeah, just one year.
In 1 year?
Yeah, 1 year.
Wow. So what you're working on now already seems like sci-fi. What do you think the future will look like in like 5 years?
Have you seen a film just like Black Mirror? You just stand there and your face there is a point. So maybe that is the future.
This is what they want for the
That's
world.
like a horror show.
Yeah.
You can cut that off. So yeah, so that's basically what they want for the entire world. They want everybody on that Skynet system with the biometrics and, you know.
They use the same exact names that they used in the movie The Terminator.
Well, it's programming, predictive programming. So what they do is they put an idea out there, whether it be a movie or whatever, and they plant the seed in your head. So when you hear about it 25 years later, it's not a threat. It's
Well,
like,
this is a
oh, that's
complete
cool.
threat.
That's like the movie. Remember
complete
Terminator?
threat.
I know, but you know that's where they get the predictive programming, where they can just condition you. And another case. Did you hear Candace Owens got in contact with Courtney Love? Did you hear about that?
No.
Listen to this. So Courtney Love came out and said that she was a MK Ultra victim ever since she was a child. She grew up around the CIA black sites where they used to take her and give her LSD as a child.
Wow.
And basically wipe her mind. That's why she looks all whacked out. But she came and she was like telling Candace Owens all this stuff, and she's spilling the beans on it. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Speaking of something cool and crazy.
That's off the topic.
Yeah. Yo, I just had to throw that in there because I just came in my
No,
brain.
I meant that's off the Charlie Kirk topic.
Oh, yeah. So let's check out this. There was a drug boat that was going, and we intercepted it, and this is a cool video. Let's check this out. Talk about adrenaline, man. So we got the U.S. Coast Guard intercepting a drug boat. Guns out. Get your ass on the deck. Look at all those drugs, man. Wow, that's crazy.
Call me whenever.
That is a lot of drugs. So who knows what that is? That could be anything. It could be the snowflake. It could be, I don't know what I can say on air, man, but whatever. That was a whole lot of drugs that they intercepted there, which is great. And speaking of drugs, you know, Mexico and all the cartels and everything, there is a basically like big civil unrest thing going on in Mexico, and they are fed up with their fake ass president, right? Yo, I don't know how it happened. How do you get a Scheinbaum, or what's her name, Scheinbaum, or whatever, right? A Jewish lady as president of Mexico.
Well, she's probably a Mexican citizen.
How does that work? She's a dual citizen with Israel.
Really?
Scheinbaum?
Sure, yeah.
Come on, bro.
I mean, I don't know. You never know. You have to look into it.
So there's civil unrest. She's working with the cartels. She does not want Trump coming in there with the military and dissolving the cartels. The whole Venezuela thing with the war with Venezuela, it doesn't really make sense because majority of the fentanyl is coming from
China?
No, it's
Mexico?
Some's coming from China and they're transporting up, but a lot of it's coming from like south, the bottom of the country, like Colombia, right? Nicaragua, Venezuela was one of the ones putting a lot of weed. They were selling a lot of weed. But there's something else going on there. I think it's more about the oil.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they are super oil rich.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense that, they're not one of the
It's just
biggest
us
contributors.
positioning ourselves globally in case of a war between Russia and China. Trump is just trying to secure more oil reserves.
Yeah, but they're going bananas down there. They want that lady out of office immediately. Let's check out this video. It's pretty crazy. So you have all their riot cops set up with their shields. I don't know what they were thinking, like it was the movie 300 or something, but they were like set up with the shields like that, and they were just ripping the shields out of their hands. I had another video that I'm not going to play. They beat the hell out of one of these cops. But they're playing soccer with the tear gas cans that they're shooting at them. But they're done, man. They don't want the corruption anymore. And I don't blame them. How long has it been going on where the police are working with the cartels and they're extorting people on the side of the road? Like, you have your own stories, man. You were kidnapped yourself.
I was kidnapped in Mexico. I did spend a few days in Mexican jail.
Yeah. Yeah,
It was good, though. It was good. It was actually...
So it's actually a really good story. So back when COVID was in its prime, right, my buddy here, he's like, yo, I'm out of here, man. Screw the United States. I'm going to Mexico. And he had a house out there, and tell him the story, man. It's pretty funny.
Well, at that point, I didn't have the house yet. So what I did is I went down to Cozumel, Mexico, figuring that was a good spot to buy property. And I figured I'd buy a vacation home or something. And when I was down there, I was actually kidnapped by the police. They said it was for not wearing a mask, and they threw me in jail. And they asked me for 800 and change pesos for to get free. And I asked them if they could give me a price for everybody. And the jail went nuts, and the police didn't like that, so they left me there. And I speak Spanish, so I was able to communicate fine, and it ended up being a very good experience. And the people were kidnapped just like myself. They weren't criminals. They were just being kidnapped. They even had a cell filled with chicks that they were kidnapping as well. They were kidnapping chicks. But yeah, it was an experience. And they tried to light a joint. One of them had been arrested with a joint, and he managed to have it in the cell. And they made a pyramid like 20 feet high to the ceiling to try and light it off a fluorescent light. And I was just there like, someone's going to get hurt. Yeah, they couldn't get it lit naturally. And it was entertaining, but nobody got hurt. I was surprised.
And then didn't you go there? You ordered a bunch of food, and you went back there and gave food to everybody.
I did.
And then this guy, no matter where he goes, he ends up being like a folk hero of the town. And he went in there. He bought all the inmates.
I brought a lot of food back to the jail for the inmates because they were just making them share beans. They would let me eat or drink first because they were nice people. They were gentlemen, but they liked the fact that I was trying to bail out the whole jail. So it instantly made me kind of a favorite, a jailhouse favorite.
Yeah, that was cool.
After I got free from there, I got the video of them actually kidnapping me, and we'll air it next week. And after I was released, I brought back the food, and I got the video, and I put it on a bunch of Facebook pages of local businesses in Cozumel, and they shared it, and it went crazy. And this girl that was cooking for me every day, her name was Michaela. She said I had to get out of that part of the country because they were looking for revenge because I had embarrassed them so bad. So we'll go back into the story after the break.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to be coming back with a guest, but we'll see you on the other side. Let's go.
Have you noticed your money just doesn't stretch like it used to? Your paycheck feels lighter, and your savings aren't growing. The culprits? Inflation and increased money supply. They've both been quietly eating away at your purchasing power for years. Today, the dollar's value has dropped significantly. You feel it every time you spend money on goods and services. Back in 1965, $1 or an ounce of silver could buy you a gallon of milk. Fast forward to today. That same dollar barely buys a couple of coffee creamers, while an ounce of silver would get you 8 gallons of milk. Gold and silver have held their value for centuries. If you had 2,500 ounces of silver back in 1965, you could buy a brand new Ford Mustang. Today, 2,500 ounces of silver would buy you 2 Mustangs. Similarly, in the year 2000, 628 ounces of gold would buy a new $170,000 home. Today, 628 ounces would buy you a $2,500,000 home. The problem? 95% of Americans don't own physical gold or silver. They think it's too complicated and too expensive, but it doesn't have to be. We offer a membership program that allows you to buy gold or silver with as little as $1. You can buy fractional amounts, safely vault them, or have them delivered to your doorstep, and you can liquidate them whenever you want at the highest buyback price in the industry. Ready to protect your wealth and keep your purchasing power? Scan the QR code or go to tafw.soundmoney.com to learn more.
At the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
It's me, Joe the Box. And I'm John the Blanket with the America First podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino podcast coming to you from the America First warehouse.
Welcome to Right for America. Issues that unite, don't ignite.
I'm James Justice. We got Stephen Ruth over here. What are we doing, Steve? Fighting!
Welcome to the Patriots podcast. Good evening, everyone. We live stream every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. right here from the America First warehouse, the most patriotic venue in all the land.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Welcome to Liberty's Cage, the podcast tearing down the walls of America's broken justice system.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
Welcome to Suffocating in Suburbia with me, your host, Stevie GB.
The America First warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
All right. We are back. So we have a special guest coming on. His name is Mark McCloskey. He's an attorney and constitutional advocate who's become nationally known in 2020 when he was defending his home during the St. Louis riots. Today, he's a vocal defender of self-defense and property rights and justice. He stands for family, and he's here to expose what happened that day and give us an update on the January 6th cases. And with that, welcome to the show, Mark. How you doing?
Thank you for coming on, Mark.
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our pleasure.
Absolutely. So let's tell the viewers a little bit about the experience back in 2020 with the BLM riots to try to and get us into how you got here today.
Oh God, how long's my hit?
we got a little time.
All right. Well, you all remember that back on May 25th of 2020, a career criminal drug addict died of a fentanyl overdose up in Minneapolis. And that event was used to launch a pre-planned insurrection against law and order in the United States. That guy's name was George Floyd. And all hell broke loose all over the country, and all the governments just allowed it to happen. The cities said it was, mostly peaceful protests. You had Kamala Harris putting together a defense fund to get people bail them out of jail so they could go out and riot the next day. On June the 1st and 2nd of 2020, BLM and Antifa tried to burn down downtown St. Louis. They burned businesses, they trashed cars, they shot 4 police officers, they killed retired police captain David Dorn, working as secondary employment about a half a mile from here. During the ensuing weeks, well, actually, I'll back up. The most insightful thing my wife and I saw that night was a 7-Eleven in downtown St. Louis, 2 blocks from police headquarters, for when they broke in the windows, came in, looted everything out, started it on fire, whole building becomes engulfed in flames. 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes we watch it. The roof comes in. You know how many police showed up? 0. You know how many firemen showed up? 0. We looked at each other and we said, when the shit hits the fan, you're out there and you're wild lonesome,
Yeah.
When you need a cop in a second in St. Louis, they'll show up in a week and survey the ashes. Not their fault. It's the city that's got them handcuffed. And I could go on for hours about that and our local prosecutor. But in the ensuing weeks, more and more of our neighborhood got boarded up. Businesses got trashed. Somebody drove a truck through the local office depot and took everything. And we just made a decision that if it came our way, we weren't going to take it sitting down. So this Antifa organization, organized and headed by now ex-Congresswoman Cori Bush, put out a flyer saying they were going to have a mob action in my neighborhood that weekend. And because we knew they liked to burn stuff and we didn't really want to get burned up, I got a bunch of fire extinguishers and put them around the house. And because we knew they liked to shoot people, I put a bunch of guns around the first floor of the house. And to make a long story short, it's Sunday afternoon, June 28th, 2020. My wife and I and our adult daughter are barbecuing out on the side porch, and all of a sudden we start hearing the crowd thumping down the street. All the typical BS chants, whose streets, our streets, no justice, no peace, no racist police. My favorite one, because Cori Bush was chanting it into her megaphone, you can't stop the revolution, you can't stop the revolution. Well, I look over at my wife, and all of a sudden, the entire street beyond our gate, we live in a private community, we've got a gate that separates us from the public street, and the public street, 100-foot wide boulevard, fills with human beings as far south as we could see, screaming and shouting and carrying communist flags and amongst other things. And I look over at my wife and I say, I sure hope they don't come this direction. Right then they break down the gate and start storming in, right? So I stand out in the corner of the porch while my wife and daughter go in to fruitlessly call 911. And I stood out in the corner of the porch and I said the two most racist, white supremacist words known to the English language. I said private property. And being communists, that pissed them off, right? And they start storming in more and more and more. Make a long story short, I'm up there with my AR thinking I'm doing okay on the porch. But my wife, when she's coming back from calling the cops, can look out the glass front doors of the house and realize that I can't see people coming up the front steps of the house. So, not knowing anything about guns, never had one in her hand before, I had a nice Mossberg 12 gauge laid out on the table right in front of the front door. She pulled open a drawer where I keep my trash guns, pulled out that little Brico 380, and goes out there and starts waving that dumbass little Brico pistol over her head at the crowd, right? But now I've got a problem because she's between me and the mob, and if something goes down, she's in my line of fire, and we'd been married about 35 years at that point, and I didn't want to accidentally put a pellet in her, so now I've got to get out there and get on the ground, and that's when you start seeing all those famous pictures. But I mean, we were the first folks in the country to really stand up against Antifa and BLM, and our reward for it was, out of those 350 to 500 people that stormed into my neighborhood, threatened to kill me, rape and murder my wife, kill my dog, burn down my house, burn down my office building. Not a single one of those people got arrested or went to jail. But guess what? My wife and I got charged with 2 Class C felonies, which would cost us 4 years in the slammer, our law licenses, our careers, everything. And, thank God, our local prosecuting attorney, Kim Gardner, is just as dumb as a sack of hammers because she used us to fundraise for her campaign for re-election. We got her tossed off the case. The entire circuit attorney's office tossed off the case for bias. And, President Trump went on TV with Judge Jeanine Pirro a couple of days later and said that he praised us and said that we did everything right and that he was, thought that if we hadn't done what we did, we would have been badly beaten and the house burned. Next day, our governor, Mike Parson, goes on national TV and says he's going to pardon us no matter what. 14 sitting congressmen led by Jody Arrington out of Texas wrote a letter to then Attorney General Bill Barr asking him to investigate the prosecutor's office for violating our civil rights for bringing charges against us for just defending ourselves. And so when the President of the United States, the 14 sitting congressmen, the governor of the state of Missouri, the attorney general of the state of Missouri, all said I did nothing wrong, it kind of made me feel like I hadn't really done anything wrong. But, that's where we got our notoriety. We went on the Trump campaign in 2020. We spoke all around the country on behalf of President Trump. We were on the Team Trump bus in Pennsylvania, and in fact, for a while, my wife and I were the Team Trump bus in Pennsylvania. We were doing 7 organized rallies a day for the president, and plus between each stop at a Trump headquarters, we'd stop at supporters' businesses and things like that. So we were doing 12, 14 stops a day. It was the most incredible experience of my life. And then, of course, I ran for U.S. Senate unsuccessfully because, with my mouth and what I do for a living and everything, my chances of winning a primary against the inside candidate is pretty small.
Yeah. Well, that's one hell of an experience that you had to go through, but
it's awesome.
It made you who you are today.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it's the Constitution's there to be stood on top of. If nobody does it, it'll just die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I have a picture of that.
The Lord moves in mysterious ways. What may be the darkest day of your life opens up doors and gives you an opportunity to give back in ways that you could not have done otherwise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So that's great. And I hear you've been doing some work for the J6 team and some of the prisoners on January 6th.
Yeah, when I was running for Senate, MTG, Matt Gaetz, and I were the only people out there in the national media that were willing to call the J6 people political prisoners. And they were, and I can, for your audience that may not be as familiar with this because they may have seen the mainstream media BS on it, I represent about 450 January 6th political prisoners now. And the vast majority of these people are just moms and pops that went through doors held open for them by Capitol police officers, fist bumped the cops on the way in, sang the national anthem, asked to use the restroom because there weren't enough porta potties there that day, came back out, chanted USA, USA, and walked out. And then a week, a month, 6 months, even 3 years later, all of a sudden, 35 FBI and federal marshals in full riot gear kick in their front doors at 6 o'clock in the morning, pull them all out at gunpoint, stand them up and outside. I had one guy, his 4-year-old son opens the door. Kid's got 30 laser dots on his chest from rifles. Another guy, this guy, Scott Christensen, who's out in Washington State, his 15-year-old daughter was hauled out by the FBI with him in her nightgown in the wintertime, made to go back inside the house, strip down, redress in front of 15 FBI officers training their machine guns on her.
That's horrible.
And we're talking people that are charged with no more than misdemeanor trespass. No time before in the history of the United States did the FBI ever investigate or arrest people on misdemeanor charges. No time except for after January 6th did any American citizens go to federal prison on misdemeanor charges. I gave a presentation Tuesday of this week where one of the guys on the stage with me was a J6er, did a full year in federal prison, in the federal psych prison down in Springfield, Missouri, on a single misdemeanor trespass charge. But I represent people that did 900 days in solitary. People did 1,100 days in prison. And by the way, a lot of my guys said when they got done with the rally that day, they went home and were watching the insurrection on television, and they said, "Boy, that didn't look like anything I saw that day, right?" It was, to use the less phrase, a mostly peaceful protest until about 2:20 in the afternoon.
No, it was.
Then for whatever reason, the cops, the Capitol Police and Metro, decided to launch an assault against the crowd. Well, these people, of course, are not the brightest human beings on the planet, because we're talking west side of the Capitol, and the wind's blowing from west to east. So the first thing they did was they threw gas grenades into the crowd, but the wind blew it all back over on the cops, right? So the cops just gassed themselves, and that pissed them off. And so they started launching flashbang grenades into the crowd indiscriminately. We're talking a crowd made up of old ladies, gentlemen, grandmas, grandpas, minor children. And if you read the product information safety sheet on these flashbang grenades, it says they can be fatal, right? They're not benign events. And then they start shooting rubber bullets into the crowd. One of my clients, Guy Ruffett, who, by the way, was assaulted by that Shawnee Kirkhoff that we heard about now.
I met Guy in D.C. We're going to take a quick break in like about 10 seconds. But Guy's a great guy.
She unloaded 30 to 40 rubber bullets on Guy by her own testimony, called him a terrorist.
Absolutely insane. We're going to be back on the other side of this, and we're going to discuss this more.
Stay tuned.
You've worked hard and saved, but inflation and increased money supply are eroding your buying power. Protect and grow your wealth with physical gold and silver. Sound Money. With a Sound Money wallet, your wealth stays in your control. Buy fractionally, vault securely, ship directly, and instantly liquidate your gold and silver at the highest buyback price in the industry. Real money, real ownership. Visit tafwsoundmoney.info or scan the QR code and start securing your financial future today.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
The America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
Corporate transfer. Fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
All right, welcome back to the America First Warehouse. We have our special guest, and let's get back into the January 6th episodes and all the stuff that's taken place. I mean, we've seen the FBI get exposed. We've seen a lot of different things, like the pipe bomber was directly tied into the Kamala Harris, had a connection with them.
Right, one more time, I just want to reintroduce our guests. Mark McCloskey. It's McCloskey?
McCloskey.
McCloskey.
Silly guy.
Mark McCloskey, and he's an attorney, and he was the gentleman who was on the news standing his ground, protecting his house during the riots 2020 with his AR-15.
That's right. So, yeah, he's going to be representing a lot of the J6ers, and he's very intimately involved with that whole case. So let's get back into what are the next steps going on.
Well, I'll just interject on that AR-15. The cops confiscated that, and then that little dumbass Bryco pistol. Took me 3 lawsuits, 2 trips to the Court of Appeals, 1,847 days to get that rifle back, but I finally got it back. Took another 40 days to get the pistol back, but they've been reunited now, so they're going to go on a speaking tour here this spring.
Nice. Good job getting those back.
Yeah, man, they should be in a frame.
That's
with
perseverance.
Yeah, man, frame those, because that's a piece of history right there.
Absolutely.
So, here's the thing on the J6ers. The American public has been fed a load of BS on what really happened. I basically, when I get done interviewing these guys, I'll say, so in other words, how long are you in the Capitol? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, some as much as an hour. You take anything? You break anything? You get in a fight with anybody? No. But their lives have been absolutely destroyed. I mean, and let me give you an idea just how nasty the FBI was in these cases. Talked to a guy 2 days ago. He was there. He recognized as he's driving home that there's going to be some blowback on this. Didn't do anything, walked in the Capitol, typical scenario, walked back out. He realizes that the FBI is going to start rounding people up. So he gets a lawyer, he calls him up, he volunteers to come in and talk. Well, the FBI doesn't want to talk to him. Doesn't want to talk to him when he's got a lawyer. 6 months later, they show up and kick in his front doors, right? Because they want to, they will time these things to when your neighbors are out there watching, when your kids are getting delivered home from school. And if they can't embarrass you enough that way, the FBI will actually go to your place of employment and say, these guys are, your employee so-and-so is a domestic terrorist, right? And they get fired. Most of these guys have never been able to get new jobs because they'll go in and apply for a job. 2 days later, the boss says, hey, were you there on January 6th? There's this nasty internet site called Sedition Hunters, which I suspect we're going to eventually find out is a government front organization set up by the FBI, which lists everybody that they can find that was there that day through facial recognition software and everything else. You get listed on Sedition Hunters, your life is over. You get debanked. You can't use Airbnb. You can't get credit. I've got people that were making a big income before January 6th. Vanguard has closed out their accounts. No banks will do business with them. One of the worst things that happened was all these guys, no matter what they're charged with, even if they're charging just, misdemeanor trespass, or my favorite one is called picketing and parading, right, which nobody actually knows what that means. But they then get on what's called the Quad S list. They're a domestic terrorist, so if they try to fly somewhere, they get 4 S's on their boarding pass. That means that they're getting heightened scrutiny, and not just a January 6th guy, but their spouses, their minor children, anybody they're traveling with. This means that when you go to the TSA checkpoint, you get a full body search. All your luggage gets torn apart. You get inspected. Your wife gets inspected. Your kids get inspected, the same full body search. They do it 3 more times, including right as you're about to get on the airplane at the boarding gate. They'll pull you out of line again and do this all in front of everybody. And the process is such that you almost always miss your flight. One of the guys we represent was the Fox Sports robot, right? and he's got to travel with a $60,000 costume. And what he does for a living is he has to go to these sporting events and work for Fox as part of their entertainment package. Well, if it takes you 4 hours to get through TSA, you're not going to get on airplanes very often.
Wow.
I've got a guy who is a national touring company of Jesus Christ Superstar. He was a lead actor, a very famous guy. You can't be a touring company on a major stage production if it takes you 4 hours to get to the airport every time. And it was specifically designed to ruin these people's lives. You know, in my humble opinion, the setup for January 6th was designed to do three things. And it was just a setup. It was an entrapment event. But it was designed to do three things. It was designed to have a general deterrent effect to let everybody in the country know that if you stand up against the left, if you stand up against the powers that be, you will be crushed, you'll be destroyed, your lives will be destroyed, your business will be destroyed. We'll make you wish you had never been born. And then the specific deterrent aspect of it, that you get together 1 million of Trump's most ardent supporters in one place. And then you lure them into a situation where you can then launch an assault on them. One of my clients is a guy named Derek Vargo. You will remember him. He was climbing up the outside of the staircase to hang a flag, and a Capitol policeman pushes him off the wall, drops about 30 feet. Horrible injuries, right? That starts the assault on the public. But, that was the specific deterrent effect. Take Trump's most ardent supporters, get them in one place, and then instigate a riot against them. But you know what? I said this to Enrique Tarrio the first time I went. I said, you guys, the head of the Proud Boys, you guys were the worst insurrectionists in the history of the planet, right? You go to D.C. Enrique actually wasn't. He was in Baltimore that day. No guns, no weapons, no organization, no plan. You guys are milling around eating hot dogs and, trying to find a bathroom. If this is an insurrection, I mean, it's the worst organized one in the history of the world. But they had the desired effect of making those lives destroyed. But what they didn't do, which is what they really wanted to do, and I've been saying this ever since I started my Senate campaign, and even before when I was in the Trump campaign, that what the left really wants is a Kent State type situation. They want to have some bodies on the ground. They want to be able to videotape it and blame it all on right-wing extremism, pull in all our guns, put us all in re-education camps. And that was the ultimate goal of January 6th, was to instigate so much violence that it could be portrayed as this genuine insurrection. And then point number 3, say it was all caused by Donald Trump and organized by Donald Trump, and that he participated in an insurrection, so he wasn't eligible to run for president again under the 14th Amendment. But the amazing restraint of all the folks who were there that day, despite the abuse they got by being beaten by the cops and gassed and shot and flashbanged, contrary to what the mainstream media says, not a single Capitol police officer was killed. There were only 2 people killed that day. You got Ashley Babbitt killed that day, and Roseanne Boylan.
Yep.
Yeah. And then one of my clients, who is currently running for Congress out in West Texas to take the spot being vacated by Jody Arrington, Ryan Zink, they sold his indictment to the grand jury on the allegation that he was a ringleader of the insurrection and that he was personally responsible for the death of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick. Well, of course, we all know Brian Sicknick didn't die that day. He died of natural causes down the road. But on the first day of trial, the government admits that Ryan didn't have anything to do with organizing anything, that he had nothing to do with the death of Officer Sicknick, and in fact, he never went in the Capitol building, right? Yeah. And so what's the defense lawyer do? He says, okay, dismiss the charges then. At which point the judge, who's the illustrious Judge Boasberg, effectively said, look, you're guilty. You can put on your defense if you want to, but you're guilty, right? 30 minutes of jury selection, 30 minutes of jury deliberation, years in prison, right? That's the kind of justice they got. And I cannot tell you how many people I've talked to where evidence was destroyed, evidence was modified, exculpatory evidence was hidden, videos were altered, police officers perjured themselves on the stand. People, and the best one, the nastiest thing, well, there's one nastier, but the nastiest thing was the same police officers who would testify that they don't remember ever seeing the defendant, the J6 political prisoners, during the trial, would then show up during the sentencing portion and say, oh yeah, he severely beat me. I thought I was at fear of my life. I've never recovered from it. And then the nastiest thing the government did to these folks is when they got convicted and they were going to take their case up on appeal, the government would find out exactly how much money they had in their Give, Send, Go accounts and confiscate it all as in the manner of a fine. So these folks couldn't afford to appeal their kangaroo court appearances.
Absolutely disgusting.
Stalin show trials.
Yeah,
our last guy got out of jail, 3 days ago, Dan Wilson.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It was uncalled for. But shifting gears, what is the future looking like as far as lawsuits and settlements go and compensation for?
Why has nobody been compensated?
We got about a minute 50 seconds left in the segment.
I've been up to Main Justice 3 times now. And then again, I was doing a presentation in St. Louis for the Phyllis Schlafly's Eagle Council last Saturday with Ed Martin. And everybody in Ed Martin's department on down is all gung-ho and making this happen. But until President Trump says for it to happen, it's not going to happen. It's entirely under his control. My wife and I are at CPAC this spring, sitting in the front row, 10 feet away from the president when he gave a 90-minute address. And when he talked about taking care of the J6ers, he got the most sustained standing ovation of the night. And you could see, we were close enough, you could see that it made an impression on him, that he understood how serious it was. I believe his heart's in it. His boat's a little loaded. But as soon as he finds it to be politically expedient to do so, I think he'll pull the trigger on this and we'll come out okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
God willing.
And any advice that you have to some of the patriots that might have lost their charge with all this nonsense going on with Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, and MTG?
It's not nonsense. It's an awakening.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. I say this every presentation. I end this way. 250 years ago, last March 23rd, a young man stood up at St. John's Church in Richmond, Virginia, and said, "I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." And that's the situation we're in right now. To save this country, you can't wait for the cavalry to come over the hill. We are the cavalry. You have to make a personal commitment to our freedom, a personal commitment to our constitutional republic. And if it costs you your career, if it costs you your livelihood, if it costs you your life, that's the determination that created this country, and that's the determination which will save it.
Exactly. And I thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be in touch. And with that, we're going to close out the episode. This thing flies through, man.
Yeah, man. So, thanks for staying tuned, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Know Your Enemies podcast out of America's First Warehouse.
That's right.
And
thanks again,
very much, Mark.
And you guys have a good night. We'll see you on the next one. Know Your Enemy.